Well, happy July, subscribers. Hope you guys are doing great out there. As always, stocks absolutely skyrocket today in a massive way. But if you don't know where to look, you might not have seen the ridiculous gains that happen in the market today, okay? So if you're just simply looking at the indexes, you're not gonna see a heck of a lot, okay? You're gonna look at a Dow Jones today up 100 points, and you're gonna say to yourself, okay, what's the big deal with that? 100 points, that's like nothing. Like the market usually moves 100 plus points on a given day. Like that's nothing, right? So where are these stocks that are soaring? And you see the S&P 500 had a respectable day today, up about 0.83%, but that is certainly nothing crazy, and that wouldn't constitute as stock soaring. And then you look at the NASDAQ, and you see for sure the NASDAQ 100 had the best day of all three of those indexes, up 1.3%. So you see that and you're like, that's really strong performance, 1.3%, that's impressive. But where are these stocks that are soaring? Let me show you some of these stocks that have absolutely gone crazy. And keep in mind, this is just a small amount of the stocks. These are ones I either own or I track on a daily basis, okay? And there's a massive amount of stocks that went up massively today, okay? And keep in mind, none of these stocks had anything to do with earnings coming out today or anything like that. Skyworks Solutions, my second biggest investment, went up 6% today. Huge move. No news came out in relation to Skyworks as far as any press releases from the company or anything like that, but up 6% today, okay? Cirrus Logic up nearly 3% today. They're an audio chip supplier, okay? Alibaba, my fifth or sixth biggest investment, went up 3.3% today. On a day when the Dow was up 0.4%, Alibaba didn't come out and announce any news today. So why the heck did that stock move up so big? At Home was up over 6.3% today. A massive day for one of my newest investments out there, okay? Wynn Resorts was up nearly 6% today. Wynn Resorts obviously has, huge casino resorts all over the world. They have many in Macau. They have some in my city, Las Vegas, and they have a new one they just opened out in Boston. Stock up nearly 6% today. Like, that's ridiculous. No press release came out from Wynn Resorts that was like, oh, we had great earnings or some type of good news or something like that. And the stock went up 6% today, okay? Micron, ticker symbol MU. This is one of the best performing stocks last week, okay? The stock was like $32, $33 a share last week. And by the end of the week, it was $38. And now we're looking at a stock over $40 a share today, up 4% today. And Micron, if you guys didn't know, is one of the biggest memory chip suppliers out there. DRAM, NAND, they're a huge player in those markets. So you see those type of performances, and you see the market was just okay, and you got to ask yourself, why are some of these stocks absolutely soaring like crazy today? They didn't come out with earnings, they didn't have any press releases around good news, and yet so many of these stocks went up in a huge way today specifically when the market was just, a decent day out there. Why did this happen, okay? Well, two different reasons, okay? The first one has to do with a company named Huawei, okay? And if you don't know, Huawei's a massive company out of China, one of the biggest companies out of China. They provide phones, they provide telecom solutions and whatnot. Massive company Huawei is. And essentially, they were in the news for some really bad things recently, okay? So on May 15th specifically, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, effectively banned Huawei with a national security order, basically meaning that no one could do business with Huawei that was a US company, okay? Think about all the different chips that are in a smartphone, right? That are in a Huawei device. Well, many of those chips inside that Huawei phone are provided from US companies. Now, US companies overnight were not allowed to do any more business with Huawei. So if you're any type of chip supplier, whether you're providing them memory, whether you're providing them audio solutions, whether you're providing them with the processors, the connectivity chips, it doesn't matter across the board what you are providing Huawei with, you cannot do business with them if you are a US company. And that was huge because so many companies out there get 10+% of their revenue and profits from Huawei. So when a company like that is banned overnight, if you do business with them, you basically just lost 10% of your revenue and 10% of your profits overnight. And this was a huge deal, okay? And so when you see stocks like Skyworks Solutions up today 6%, when you see a stock like Micron up 4% today, these type of stocks had gotten absolutely slammed over the past month. And the reason was a lot of these businesses, Micron, Skyworks Solutions, got more than 10% of their business from Huawei. So Huawei getting banned was just a very negative thing for their businesses, okay? And then you see them go up huge today. And why is this? Well, here today, Trump officially essentially says he has eased the Huawei restrictions that only applies to widely available products as of right now. Now the question is, what constitutes as a widely available product? So basically what this means now is American companies can start doing some business with Huawei again for widely available products. So it is definitely a confusing situation, because if you're let's say you're a chip supplier to Huawei, you got to ask yourself, like what can I provide chips for? Is this product over here that sells 1 million units, is this a popular enough product that I could actually start selling my chips into them? Or what if it does 10 million in volume? Does that then constitute as a product that is widely available enough that I can actually provide chips into? So it's a very confusing situation, but needless to say, it is definitely a positive for a massive amount of semiconductor companies that do business with Huawei, because they basically went from 10%. A lot of these companies had 10 or 15% of their revenues and profits coming from Huawei. It went to zero overnight. And now with this ban being somewhat lifted, the question is, like, maybe they can get 5% of that business back, or maybe they can get their full 10% of revenue back from that customer, or maybe they can get 15% if they were all the way up to those type of numbers, guys. So needless to say, it's great news for a lot of these semiconductor companies. The question is how great of news it is. But needless to say, with stock price moves like that, guys, very good news, okay? Now, more good news came out of President Trump's Twitter last night, and this is also what helped a lot of stocks, okay? He said, I had a great meeting with President Xi of China yesterday, far better than expected. I agreed to not increase the already existing tariffs that U.S. companies pay while we continue to negotiate. And then he goes on to say China has agreed that during the negotiation, basically China will start to purchase large amounts of agricultural products from U.S. farmers and whatnot. So needless to say, this is definitely a move in the right direction in regards to the trade war, because that has gotten really ugly over the past few months, guys. And so if you think about this, if a trade deal can get done, that would obviously mean great things for China and U.S. relations. That would be great for obviously U.S. and China business, okay? Because of right now with this whole trade dispute situation with the tariffs, it is not good for either side. Almost every single U.S. company in the entire world that does business with China, their earnings are being hurt right now. There's pretty much not a company I can find that does business in China and their earnings are not down year over year, or at least significantly hurt. The companies that are actually doing okay are the companies that basically don't do any business with China. You know, companies like Facebook, companies like Google, some of those massive companies that basically were never allowed to be in China. Some of those businesses are still thriving, but a ton of the actual Chinese businesses have been hurt dramatically, okay? So needless to say, it's a step in the right direction. This chart shows you how much revenue exposure some of these companies have in relation to how much revenue comes from China, essentially, okay? You see Yum China, obviously 100%. You see a company like I bought recently, Wynn Resorts, 75% of their revenue comes from China. Cuervo, huge semiconductor supplier, has 74% of their revenue coming from China. Qualcomm, one of the biggest semiconductor companies in the world, and probably going to be one of the biggest companies when it comes to 5G, 67% of their revenue comes from China. Micron, 66%. Las Vegas Sands, with all their casino resorts over there in China, okay, 62%. Nvidia, 53%. Broadcom, 49%. So company after company get massive amounts of their revenue and profits from China. And if you look at what those stocks did today, like, you could pretty much go down that entire list, and almost every single stock that I just said was up 3%, 4%, 5%, 6%. You saw a company like Alibaba, massive Chinese conglomerate, right? Look at their stock today, up 3+% on a day when the market was up, 0.4% or whatever. So needless to say, this is a step in the right direction, and the question is, what is next? And that's obviously the big question we have to ask ourselves, because if we just go back in time, let's go back in time about 2 months ago, it was looking like, 2.5 months ago, it was looking like, oh, a trade deal is probably going to get done. This is going to be great for corporate profits. This is going to be great for U.S. and China relations. And oh my gosh, the stock market is going to go roaring in the second half of the year. And then all of a sudden, 2.5 months ago, the situation got far worse, okay? And next thing you know, it was like, oh, tariffs are going to go way up, and China wanted to fight back. And it's just a bad situation. And every single company that's an international company has been hurt significantly by this. So the question is, what is next? And in my opinion, a trade deal is probably going to come sometime soon. Soon meaning between the next 1 and 3 months. And in my opinion, Trump wants to get this done before the election. I don't think he wants this hanging over the election. And especially the way so many farmers have been hurt. And he's counting on a ton of those folks, friends and family members, to go out there and vote for him. So if I'm looking at this, I think Trump really wants to get a trade deal done ASAP, because if he doesn't get a trade deal done and things are getting ugly and the economy is getting worse, then all of a sudden we're in a situation that is obviously not good for a re-election. Usually if somebody doesn't get re-elected, many times it's because the economy is not doing good. So you want the economy as strong as possible going into that re-election, and you want things as certain as possible going into a re-election. So if I'm looking at this, I'm thinking a trade deal is coming, and I think the markets are already starting to price this in. So if you're thinking, oh, let me wait for a trade deal to come, in my opinion, by that time, the trade deal is already priced in. And honestly, when I look at things right now, a lot of the trade deal, if it does get done, is already priced in the market. Never mind, as the weeks progress, if the market continues to go up and go up, I think a lot of whatever happens, if a trade deal does get done, will already be priced in the market. So if you're hoping, like, you know, a month from now or 2 months from now, it's going to come out, trade deal's done, massive trade deal between China and the US. Oh my gosh, this is so great. And you think, oh my gosh, the stock market is going to roar like crazy. A lot of it will probably already be priced in. And that happens a lot in the stock market. Whether we're talking about the stock market as a whole or we're talking about specific stocks, a lot of times people expect there to be a huge move on some type of news, but it's already been priced in, guys, and that will probably be what happens in this situation. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, make sure if you're interested in joining my private stock market membership group, that is linked down there in the description. We'd love to have you in there, guys. Make sure you smash that thumbs up button if you enjoyed today's video. Thank you for watching and have a great day.